Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Relief Factor Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Oh, we have a show to do.
Oh, that's right.
We are Red Eye Radio.
You know, we come in and just start. Hi, everybody. He's Gary.
Yes.
I'm Eric. We just come in and start talking and doing the pre-show meeting. And, you know, tonight, of course, doing the primary stuff and looking at everything. And it was another crazy day. You know, between everything going on with Iran and the elections, I'm shocked that I actually got 4 hours of sleep, that I got that much sleep. So, what a crazy day. Yeah,
well, just so you know, everybody, my congresswoman is currently losing.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Jasmine Crocket losing to Talarico, 53% to 45.7%.
Yeah.
Dallas County not fully in, waiting for the Dallas County numbers. People were standing in line. They went to a judge to keep the polls open longer on the Democrat side.
Right.
The judge allowed it, and then the Supreme Court of Texas came in and said,
no,
sorry.
No, you have plenty of time in before the election in early voting. There is no excuse. There really is no excuse. I think any boss on Election Day, I know I have two family members that said, their bosses said, if you're on your way to vote, you know, that you can be late to work if you're going to vote. If you're, you know, and so there really is no excuse. If you forgot, if you didn't get the message until late, well, sorry. Why not say, well, I didn't get it till Wednesday, the day after the election. You don't get to just change the election times or dates.
No, because people are late.
Yeah.
You don't say, well, the polls stay open.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, case in point, we had to unexpectedly go out of town on Friday, and I was going to early vote on Friday. That was the last day of early voting for us. And I was going to early vote. Just kind of gets it out of the way. There's more of a crowd, although at the elementary school, it was right by my house. It's literally walking distance from my house. And it was, I would say robust, but I didn't have to wait at all to vote. It was midday, though. It was like 11:30 a.m. But again, there is no, there's no excuse. The times are the times. The dates are the dates. You know, for me, I'd rather, I like voting on Election Day. Early voting, you know, is convenient for me, but I do like voting on Election Day, you know.
Well, I like voting on Election Day because early voting is 12 miles from my house, and the day of the voting day, it's less than 1,000 feet.
Wow. Yeah, I have to go. I don't know. I have to go. I think it's a little over a mile, for early voting, and then on Election Day, this time it was the elementary, right there. I mean, I'm right there. You can see it from my front yard. It's right there.
Mine's 12 miles, and I'm like, I'll just go vote. And there's nobody in my precinct ever votes on voting day. Now, I will say there was no lines. Mm-hmm. Now, I live in a Democrat precinct.
Yeah.
Probably, I'm going to guess 70-30 Democrat, maybe 65, maybe 65-35. That was about the proportion in there, but there was no waiting on either side.
I live in Dallas County. My precinct is red for the moment. And for me, the Democrat side was full. All the machines were basically taken. If you had walked in when I walked in as a Democrat, you would have had to wait a minute. And over on the other side, on the Republican side, it was me and one other person, and there were a few machines that were open. I mean, anecdotal. I don't know how it went in early voting. I actually did not go by. Sometimes I make a point to go by some of the early voting places and just to see in my neighborhood what the turnout is. But pretty robust. And it looks like Paxton and Cornyn will go to a runoff.
Yep.
It doesn't look like they will go to a runoff.
Yeah. 86% of the vote in. Cornyn with 42.1%, Paxton with 40.8%, which brings up a very interesting question. Where will the Hunt vote go? Because that will decide it. 13.3% for Wesley Hunt.
Yeah.
And so, Cornyn was boasting afterwards.
Right, yeah.
Of course, some of the other races for Texas GOP Attorney General, you had it's going to be Mega Mays Middleton. Those aides, those aides, those ads.
Well, no,
those ads were just like, shut up. And he was like, Mega Mays Middleton. I mean, the voice was so deep. Mega Mays Middleton. Mega Mays Middleton. And it was like over and over again. That was early on, and then the mega was dropped in a lot of ads I saw.
My wife made the best joke. We got a Middleton mailer ad, and it's just a flat. It's like a large postcard, and this, I don't know, this goes back well over a month, and she goes, it's a picture of his family and everybody is included on the. She goes, she picks it up. She goes, "What is this? A late Christmas card?"
Well, the reason I brought that up is because it's interesting because with the obvious fracturing of MAGA, because we've actually said it. What's MAGA today, and nobody can tell us what it is.
Right. Well, by a lot of definitions by the. Influencers. I hate to call them influencers because I don't know who they're influencing. They're influencing some people, but by the influencers, in many ways, Donald Trump is no longer MAGA, which is of course stupid.
Right, because whatever he decides should be MAGA. Correct.
I almost said that in a conversation we were talking about the other day, and I forget what the context was, but Donald Trump is MAGA, and that may be changing, and it may be changing his definition, his own. You would have to ask him, but his own definition may be changing. But he's MAGA.
But you had Middleton and Chip Roy will be facing off in a special election. Middleton with 41.5%, Roy with 30.4%.
Yeah, and
really no other surprises there. Let me just look for. Let me see. North Carolina, Whatley will be going up against Cooper. Whatley winning the GOP by a landslide numbers, and that's just see what else you have there. That's really it when you look at the ones that are contested that are going to go to a runoff. But 81. By the way, 81% in the Texas Democratic Senate. Primary, Talarico 53%, Crockett 45.7%, and she claims this is the GOP doing that to her. Of course, it's ridiculous. Even Democrats know it. Democrats know that she will do better in Dallas County.
Yeah.
And the last thing that the GOP would want is to stop those votes from coming in because the GOP in Texas would rather face Crockett than Talarico. They're both radical left.
Yeah.
They're both radical left.
Yeah.
Talarico. And it's interesting because Talarico's trying to make the case, I'm a Christian.
Right.
And so I am a conservative Christian, which of course he is not. And that's the latest series of, I think, of the evolution. Okay, what do we throw out there? Okay, let's throw out that we're religious. That's.
Yeah. Just say it as if it's true.
Yeah.
And
because his father is a minister, whatever, and it's just like, I don't care. It's where you stand. You can promote I'm a Christian. Okay, where do you stand on certain issues based on Christianity? Oh, well, the Bible endorses abortion.
Right.
shut up.
Yeah.
You're
done.
But I will say this. So I went to my voting place, which is a school right around the corner.
Yeah.
And there is a very small path, just the way the building is constructed, before you get to the library. And I think it may be 500 feet you have to stay away.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a path that's so thin that you had just one group of people, like 5 women out there for one local candidate for state senate.
Huh.
So I come walking up, and the one comes right up in my face.
Yeah.
And says to me, "Are you voting Democrat?" And I went, "No." "Okay, thank you, sir," and turned around and almost ran away. It's almost that they said, ask them if they're a Democrat. If they're not, turn around and walk away as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Because, yes, in my mind, for a moment, I almost said yes. And when she said, "Well, will you vote for this candidate?" I was going to say, "Well, can he define what a woman is?"
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, probably, though, doing this for as my profession, to get into a fight in front of a polling place with 5 insane liberal women, who obviously promote the misogyny of the radical transgender movement, which means their minds are totally screwed up. Do I really want to be in the paper the next day or have police called up? Because I would have so much fun with them. Now, I'd be smiling, but they'd be screaming at me because I would go. And I thought to myself, just go in and vote and then leave.
Well,
so that's what I did.
But I thought the same thing. There was only actually, when I was there, one person. And they were sitting in this chair, and I thought, well, they look lonely. And I wondered, I thought, because the path is a sidewalk, and then you have to go around the building, and they're sitting outside the zone where they're legally bound to. And I wondered if they were going to, like, scream over, "Hey, can I talk to you?" They didn't say anything. But I thought, if they approached me, because I wondered, qualifying you is the best way to do that for them.
Yeah.
It's the most efficient way.
Right.
Are you Democrat? You voting Democrat? No? Okay, thanks. But I wondered if they, if they were going to approach me based on, hey, would you vote for this person? They believe in boys playing in girls' sports? No. And because I thought to myself, I'm not going to I'm very, very respectful of the volunteers who run the polling places, right? These are people that live in my neighborhood. And so many of them actually know all of my neighbors, know my street. Oh, I know where that is. Does Jim, what's his name, that still live 2 doors down from you? Yep. And, that kind of thing. But they're there doing a job, and I never have an issue.
Mine weren't. Mine were imported. I don't think they could find Republicans from my precinct.
That's funny.
That's how Democrat my precinct is now. But I did.
You mean the volunteers?
The volunteers.
So do they qualify them as being party one way or the other? Because my polling place is both Democrat and Republican.
Right, but you go to one side. They
right.
Split it up. One side is Democrat, the other side is Republican.
And I wondered, though, if those volunteers are necessarily Republican or Democrat.
Yes.
They are?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Because I wondered, the gentleman who, is basically oversaw when I put my ballot in, for the final thing to say, okay, you're all good to go, and then he hands me the sticker. Older gentleman, and for me, it's getting harder to say that each day.
I can't say it.
And I wondered. I didn't know. I didn't know that
maybe
they
not
were
for
bound
the general,
to
but
for okay.
That, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Well, could you imagine?
Yeah.
The allegations of cheating if you didn't do it in a primary?
Well, a lady comes up and takes your ballot out of your hand, right. Which they can't do. They can instruct you on putting the ballot in the machine. She takes it out of the hand. You look over. Wait a minute. Aren't you Jasmine Crocket? What are you doing with my ballot?
No, it's funny because I telling people the other day, they just said, well, how could you possibly be? I always get this. How could you possibly be in a Democrat precinct? because my neighborhood is new and I was one of the first people in the precinct.
In fact, they all moved in to drown your vote out.
Exactly. That's what happened. So
I live in Dallas County, and it's been evolving for a long, long time. It is like a lot of major metro areas are becoming bluer and bluer. And my precinct is one of the only precincts within, my neighborhood that is still red. And again, that's going to change over time. That it will probably go blue. I have neighbors, and I've talked about it, who will put up. They put up the Beto signs. They put up. I have one departed neighbor, a really nice guy, worked as a crossing guard at the school for the longest time. Very nice guy. But I remember him in 2004, after the 2004 election. He put a homemade Hillary sign in the window. This was not during election time. It was after the election. Made a Hillary sign and put it in his window. I don't know if the city called him on that. We don't have an HOA, but the city has some very strict codes. But he was a staunch Hillary supporter. I saw Obama signs, on my street back in 2008. So there's plenty of blue in our area, but, thankfully I'm still in a Republican precinct.
Yeah, the only thing we didn't mention, Dan Crenshaw done.
Oh, yeah.
In Texas, District 2.
Yeah.
He's out. He
lost. He's out. Yep.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. When driving, you need to manage the space around your vehicle so that there's enough space to allow you to adjust when traffic conditions change. The space ahead of your vehicle is the most important. One rule of thumb is to allow at least 1 second for each 10 feet of vehicle length at speeds below 40 miles per hour. At greater speeds, add an additional second. It's impossible to keep other drivers from tailgating you, but there are some things you can do to make it safer, such as increasing your following distance, avoiding quick lane changes, and slowing down. There are also several things you should do to ensure that there is plenty of space between the side of your vehicle and other vehicles. Don't hug the center line, and avoid traveling alongside other vehicles in strong winds. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. One of the things that I thought yesterday, when the Democrat campaigners for a local candidate, came up to me and asked if I was a Democrat, and the thought in my mind was, should I get into an argument? I go, probably not the best thing to do. But what really drives me is the fact, and I started thinking about this afterwards, Democrats don't have to explain any of their positions at all.
No. Right.
They never have to, nor do they explain their positions. And you can look at the perfect example. What is a woman? None of them can define what a woman is. None of them can define why they believe that children should be mutilated.
Yeah. Right. No,
they can't explain why borders should be open. They can't and don't have to explain why borders should be open. They don't have to, nor do they ever explain why they support illegal immigrant criminals in sanctuary cities. And I started going in my head every single topic, and I'm thinking to myself, they never explain it. I don't have any Democrat friends that ever explain anything, ever, the positions that they believe.
Right.
And you look at the Republicans are always explaining why they believe what they believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really incredible when you think about where our society has gone, that one side is not forced to be specific of what they believe.
Right.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Relief Factor Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today and listen when you choose to the show. All right, yeah, so when I started thinking about that, and we've thought about it before, just on voting day, of course, it hit me again. I'm walking out, after being approached by the Democrat campaigners, and then I'm just watching people come in that I know are Democrat. And I'm just shaking my head, and I'm thinking to myself, the Democrats could take over. They could win the House, possibly win the Senate this year.
Yeah.
But long term, what is the Democrats' future based on the issues where, as Trump said last week, they're crazy?
Yeah, right.
On every single issue out there, they're crazy, or they're complete hypocrites from where they were just a little while ago. They've changed 180 degrees and don't have to explain why they did.
Yeah.
You look at, the Hillary cut we played yesterday from, was that 2008? Elect me, we will attack Iran. You look at the Democrats now out there saying that, what Trump did, is, it's illegal. It's unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional. We explained to you why it's not. Nobody can debate. You cannot debate what the Constitution says, and you cannot debate what the Democrats did with Libya has been explained.
Right.
The Democrats basically, under going into Libya, under Obama, it was the Obama Justice Department that basically said the president can do whatever he wants, which is what the Constitution says. The only recourse for Congress is stop the money or impeach and remove from office, or the 25th Amendment. That's it.
Yeah.
The president gets to decide by the Constitution. And the Department of Justice during the Obama administration coming out and saying, well, this is a humanitarian, because there was no imminent threat. There was no non-imminent threat or partial imminent threat from Libya. It was a humanitarian decision for Obama unilaterally, without the permission of Congress, to do bombing in Libya.
Yeah.
I don't believe they even used, the Lockerbie bombing. That Reagan used that.
Right, yeah.
But Obama never used it.
No.
He said it's humanitarian. By his Justice Department and Obama agreeing, I can go and attack anybody if there's a humanitarian crisis, means there are no rules for the president, except if you do something wrong, you can be impeached, removed from office.
Yeah. Right.
Or the money goes. It was the Obama administration, and all the Democrats agreed with it.
Oh, yeah, they were fully on board.
They all agreed with it.
Yes.
And now they reverse completely. What he's doing is illegal. They can't make their point, but they don't have to make their point, because the media and the Democratic Party doesn't. Say what you want about the Republican Party and the disagreements that we have with them. Man, there's a loud voice if people now even agree with Trump. Disagree with Trump. Disagree.
Right.
You will have it out there,
right.
When it comes to a number of topics.
Right.
And so there's always this questioning going on in the Republican Party. It doesn't exist in the Democrat Party. For example, what's the difference between James Talarico and Jasmine Crocket? Nothing.
Yeah, I was searching my brain going,
Nothing. They both believe in the same insanity. It's basically who can sell that insanity. And, of course, the racism inside the Democratic Party, wanting a white male instead of a black radical.
And she tried to shed some of the radical stuff after her first set of ads. Her first set of ads that I saw was all anti-ICE, right? Mm-hmm. And then it ended with impeach Noam. I don't think she ever got to the point in the ad, by the way, of saying abolish ICE, but it's the same spirit of, we don't want ICE doing this and we're going to defund ICE and the whole thing, which is still going on. And you look at the change. The next one was her at, I don't know, it looked like it was a football game, high school football game, because it had marching band, in it, and it had people, town folks, and she's mingling with them. It was much more mundane. One of them recently was whether you early vote, it was during early voting, whether you early vote or vote on Election Day, just vote. And she's just sitting there in a chair. Yeah. It was mundane, trying to shed that radical stuff that she's done all along in her radical views, and I don't know if that anti-ICE thing just came back at her, and her internals were showing this isn't going to work for you in Texas. I don't know. I can't tell you. But that ad went away. I haven't seen it, and it changed. The tone in her ads changed, but it doesn't matter because we do our homework. We don't live in the bubble of today. The Democrats require you to live in the bubble of today and not think on the issues, not think for yourself. They require the rank and file want the rank and file to be ignorant. We don't believe you're stupid. They believe you're stupid. Governor Newsom can't even tell you where his birth certificate is.
Yeah. Bernie Sanders can't tell you where his birth certificate is. They're lying.
They're lying.
They're lying. We all know they're lying.
But they think they can connect with stupid people. That's how they think of you. Their constituents they think of as stupid. And so, well, let me say something stupid.
And that's when I thought, as I'm leaving, I said, even any of my Democrat friends, you don't see them ever promoting an issue, ever.
Right.
And then articulating, getting into the minutia of why they support it,
right, or
constitutionally why something exists or doesn't exist. They never do it. They throw out slogans. They throw out a paragraph. They Kamala Harris it. Throw out a paragraph that makes no sense at all. Mm-hmm. Jeffries did it yesterday when they confronted Jeffries.
Yeah.
Or they just walk away and won't answer a question.
Right.
Republicans are almost forced to answer all the questions out there, and then they get hit over and over and over again with it, but they wish to answer the questions and make it clear, what they believe. And even my Democrat acquaintances that I've known for years, none of them are anywhere right now explaining why they support the Democrat Party, except Trump sucks. But when you get down to it, as we said before, on the issues where Trump is, the vast majority of issues that Trump believes, independents believe, and a significant portion of Democrats believe. Did you see the poll? What was it? Who did the poll yesterday? We'll get to it, but it was on the Iran.
Yeah,
and basically it was, there was one first poll that came out that showed the majority agree. Then you had a couple of polls saying the majority doesn't agree. Then the poll that came out yesterday said, well, if it just runs weeks or a month or so, it was like landslide number support of it.
Was it the Fox News poll?
No.
Okay. There was a Fox News poll, which was weird. National survey that found 61% think Iran poses a real threat. But when you get down to the actions against Iran, it's 50-50. In terms of the current U.S. military action, 50% approve, 50% disapprove.
Now this was based on the timeline of how long we would be if we're just at war by how they've marketed weeks, days or weeks.
Right.
The public, and I'll find I forgot which pollster it was.
Okay.
I've got it. I just wasn't prepared for it right now.
All right.
To go there, but I brought it up. I should be prepared, right?
Well, it's been that crazy over the last few weeks.
It has. But the point that I wanted to make is the fact that, and this fits in with it, James Freeman did an op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal. Democrats supermajority rejects socialist policies. And he talks about how poll questions are asked. The new survey asks, what do you think is a better economic system, capitalism or socialism? Capitalism wins 59 to 41%, which is better than some recent findings, but still not a complete repudiation that Marxism deserves. The most disturbing aspect is that socialism wins among Democrats 54 to 46%. This suggests if this fall's midterm elections go the way they normally do for a second term, president's party, next year the U.S. Congress could be debating ownership of the means of production. The somewhat hopeful news is that support for socialism is concentrated among people who don't know what it is. As for the alternative, over the years, various readers have discouraged use of the word capitalism to describe the market economy, given that the term was originally used by socialists to denigrate it. The new Harvard-Harris survey suggests that the readers have a point. Here's another question in the new poll. Do you think that America should be run mostly as a free enterprise country, or under socialism? This is just a recent poll that was done. Freedom wins 76% to 24%. And even Democrats vote for free enterprise over socialism by a healthy 68 to 32%. It's that capitalism is a bad meaning, even though free enterprise and capitalism is the exact same thing. Democrats are ignorant. They don't know that.
Yeah, right.
Harvard-Harris also found that by 65 to 35%, respondents mistakenly believe that socialism allows private home ownership, with a full 78% of Democrats thinking that socialism permits people to own their own houses. Clearly, there's a challenging educational job ahead for those of us who treasure freedom, but this is also an opportunity. The new results suggest that the American dream is alive and well across all parties. It is a dream of individual ownership, not government management. Here's another Harvard-Harris question. Do you think people should be able to buy and own their own houses, or should the state own their houses? A full 91% of responses say people should have the right to buy and own their own houses. On this question, Harvard-Harris finds Democrats even slightly more in favor of private home ownership than Republicans and independents.
Wow.
93% of Democrats want freedom for homeowners. This is perhaps due to a margin of error. The bottom line is that as across the spectrum, there's massive support for property rights in housing.
Yeah.
The same 91% support holds when voters are asked about private property in general.
You look at property rights, and that's, again, we're talking about the fundamentals of this country. Being able to own things, being able to own property. The left doesn't want you to do that. Mamdani brought around the question again. You and I have been around long enough to have seen this before. And Bernie's promoting the wealth tax and again they want to go. They believe with Mamdani's win, they believe that's what the people want. That's what the majority of Americans want. Well, I can't tell you about New York City. I've never lived there, but I can tell you this: that again, you talk about, you get even close to taking away people's property rights, and there's a problem. They believe they get the emotional win, the envy and the jealousy when it comes to taking the property of billionaires, the wealth tax.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah, and that's where they think they win. Well, these billionaires shouldn't have this. I don't say have, I say earned. It was earned. And what's next? Okay, we've got, 1,200, 1,300 billionaires in the U.S. So let's say they're all done. They're all no more billionaires. Well, they start going after millionaires. Eventually, they come after you and your property.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, it was a CBS poll. YouGov
okay.
did it, but the CBS poll, approve or disapprove of military action against Iran. If you think the conflict would last days or weeks, 76% approve, 24% disapprove. Months, 54% disapprove, 46% approve. Years, 87% disapprove, 13% approve. Basically, the public has even, and that means you get 76%, that's half of Democrats.
Yeah.
That means everybody understands the situation with Iran.
Yeah.
They understand Iran, and they understand what Iran is about.
Right.
The Democrats in Congress may not want you to know, but even the Democratic voter knows. And it's like, well, if the president and Hegseth, what they're selling days and weeks, that's what they're telling us, we're okay with that.
Right.
If you get rid.
Right.
If you solve whatever problem those people who were polled think there is.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know what I can't speak. I know what I think, and I know what the president has told me, and I agree with it. I don't know what they're thinking.
Right.
The people that were polled.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Relief Factor Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Jasmine Crocket from last night. You ready?
All right.
Got audio here.
All right, here we go.
All Red has already stated. We encourage each and every one of you to remain resilient. We cannot allow this type of behavior to be rewarded, because so long as they know that they can win, even if it means cheating.
There you go. She's admitting fraud in elections. Fraud in elections.
Is she an election denier? That's odd.
Then she blamed the GOP later on.
All right.
And it was like, and this is where the judge extends the Dallas County polls 2 hours due to reports of confusion. Then the state Supreme Court came in and said no. Texas State Supreme Court said no.
Yeah,
define
confusion.
Right, those votes have been put aside.
Right.
And so she blamed the GOP. Everybody know, even Democrats know, because she probably would have done better. The thinking is, we don't know until the votes are actually counted, but the thinking is across the board, even from the Democrats, even from her. She would do better in Dallas County.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
She would do better in Dallas County because that's where she's from.
Right.
And so to sit there and say the GOP is cheating would mean that she believes that the GOP wants Talarico as the opponent to, whoever wins the runoff for the Republicans, and it would be the opposite. She is viewed as absolutely the weaker candidate here across the board. Yeah. Democrats, the reason that Talarico is up by 7 points is because right now a majority of the Democratic Party in the state of Texas, based on what we have right now, believe she can't win. They again, and it's based on imagery alone, because both Talarico and her believe the exact same thing.
Yeah, right.
It's simply they don't believe she can sell it. And so they just got to go, who's the next person? He's a new fresh face. Right. Let's just, he continues to say, I'm a minister's son. I'm a Christian. Right. Don't pay attention to the whole other stuff that God is that the Bible says that God is non-binary and God is in favor of abortion. Forget about that insane thing that you can't sell to any Christian out there. Yeah. And they're just like, but he's a new face, and he doesn't screech the way that she does. He doesn't curse the way that she does. We need somebody who is more calm and a new fresh face to sell the insanity that we wish to bring to Texas.
Well, and that's, that's the problem. This is kind of a little bit of the radical left liberal circular firing squad, right, is that it's an interesting dynamic because the rank and file look at it. First of all, her stepping outside of her district into the wider, state election process is always going to be different. It's like Gavin Newsom stepping outside the blue bubble of California, right? And, because where you live, Gary, is extremely blue. Your neighborhood is the bluest of blue.
Oh, my gosh. Not that Michael Johnson song.
In fact,
bluer than blue, sadder than sad.
I heard, and I've been close to your house. I've been over to the lake. I went over to the state park.
It's a nice state park, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it. And I heard, though, in your neighborhood, that you can't even take right turns. It's illegal. You have to turn left. It doesn't matter. The UPS is kind of, screwed there. But this is what happens when you step outside of whatever blue bubble it is. She didn't have any opponent when she ran for the seat she's in now.
Right. There was no Republican.
Yeah. And so, she won in massive numbers. What did she get? 85%?
Yeah.
So
85%.
So wow. And
by the way, this wasn't last night. This was when she ran for Congress in my district that she has now been.
And you make the point that obviously
out
Dallas County, they were hoping was going to do much better for her, and then they convinced the local judge, let's extend the hours of voting because of confusion. Sorry. Because our voters aren't informed, this confusion, that confusion. Not a technical problem, not like in an entire precinct or something, all the machines went down or, simultaneously or something like that. It's excuse making. And then it gets back to and when you lose, it gets back to for the left, blaming everybody but yourself in not just running a horrible campaign, but the baggage that she brought to her campaign with all the stuff she thought she was winning on. All of these things inside her little blue bubble in her district, your district, Gary. Shut
it.
I can only say that until, January. So it really is that idea of stepping outside of that because she could get away with it before in that blue district. And then when you go out, outside of that and you go statewide and people may or may not know you and the ones that don't, then start doing a little research. You Google Jasmine Crocket and some of that viral stuff is going to come up. And so you get Talarico in there and he wins, quite possibly. We'll see where it goes. But he's certainly in the lead now and got over 50. He has over 50% of the vote as of right now. And if that's the case, it's number one, because he's a Christian. I'm holding for the laughter. But it really is that. It's exactly.
Hold it. One more.
It's exactly. I had to throw one in of my own. It's exactly what you just said. It's the fact that he's the fresh face, that baggage that she brings, but the fact that he doesn't bring that baggage. Now, you and I can throw plenty of baggage his way, and we have in recent minutes. But those are the things that then you see again, and it's typical of the left. We're just going to blame somebody else. I mean, Kamala Harris did it in December of 2019. December 3rd, 2019, she ended her run for president. Didn't even make it to the 2020 primary season. And she was out of money. Her campaign was in shambles. Morale in her campaign was low, according to pretty much everybody. All the reports showed that there was just no morale because the money wasn't flowing in. And that's when you start seeing money come in, like the Senate race, the Senate primary here in Texas, the most expensive in U.S. history. Well over $100 million. In fact, Cornyn, along with his money and PAC's combined, was $100 million or more. And it was, so if you look at all the money spent and everything else, you follow the money. Well, in 2019, Kamala wasn't getting anything. She wasn't getting any money whatsoever. And she blamed, who did she blame? I mean, she blamed her party. She said that America is racist and misogynist because they wouldn't choose a woman of color. They wouldn't support a woman of color. But it was the primary season, as we pointed out, and that meant that was her party acting in that way. And there you have it. She wants to blame, of course, she wants to blame Jasmine Crocket, wants to blame the GOP. Well, this is the GOP, and then she's going to go into election denier mode.
Well,
and the numbers are the numbers.
I think she'll eventually talk about the fact that it was racism and misogyny is the reason that she lost.
Probably.
Look, I did see that, when she was talking last night on X, whoever had posted it said, well, don't blame the GOP, blame Talarico and Colbert.
Yeah.
Because remember the whole Colbert thing.
Right.
He didn't want her on.
Right.
And the powers that be wanted Talarico. They're looking for, this is the same thing in the presidency. This is the whole thing about, Newsom. They were looking for a fresh face to sell the craziness of the issues.
Yep.
The problem with Newsom is he tried to do that a couple of years ago and got smoked by DeSantis in that so-called debate.
Yeah.
Remember that?
October. Oh, my gosh.
Was that October or was that November of 24? I forgot when it was, but he got smoked.
Oh, it was horrible.
And this is the thing that I
for Newsom.
Oh, yeah. This is the thing that I was talking about yesterday when I'm like, my God, Democrats don't have to and can't defend their positions. They can tell you what they believe, and they can say, we need to protect the long-term immigrant who has been here and settled down and put down roots and has a family and has a job and pay taxes and hasn't committed a crime. Yeah, but what about those that commit a crime? But we're not going to talk about them. We wish to protect immigrants. You mean illegal immigrants? No immigrants, no illegal immigrants. There's a difference between legal and illegal, but you wish and support sanctuary cities, so you want everybody to come in. That's why you weren't screaming with Biden opening up the border. Again, it wasn't that he couldn't handle the problem of illegal immigration. He purposely caused illegal immigration, and you were in support of it. You're in support of sanctuary cities. All Democrats are in support of sanctuary cities, and that's protecting illegal immigrant criminals. And so they can't defend it. They won't do it. They will deflect. They'll never defend the positions that they have. They'll just scream racism, misogyny, transphobia, xenophobia, but they'll never actually defend what they believe. They'll never get to the talking points, to the minutia, which is so important. You have to explain it, yet Republicans have to explain it. Democrats don't. And like I said, it even goes to all the Democrats that I know. And in my life, I know a ton.
Yeah.
None of them articulate why they believe what they believe. None of them. No. Not one.
No. You and I were talking during the break, and we love when we get feedback from our audience, like over the weekend with Iran. We got a lot of feedback from the audience saying, can't wait for you guys to analyze what's going on in Iran. To hear your thoughts on that. And a large part of that is if you think about it, what we like to do on this program is break down the ideas. You'll know why we think what we think. We don't require that you agree. It's okay for you to be wrong. But if you listen to us long enough, you'll understand why we believe what we believe. So even when we're breaking down things, geopolitical events, or the economy, or whatever it is,
or constitutional issues, which we did. Which we did with tariffs last week, and we did with the president's authority here.
And
by the way,
SCOTUS items.
By the way, if Trump wants to not trade with Spain.
Yep.
He can do that.
He can do that.
They can do that.
Yep.
Can't tax American companies.
Right.
That's the difference.
Right.
But on Iran, he has. Oh, and when Besson said, "Yeah, are you telling me he can cut off trade, but he can't tariff them?" Yeah, that's what the Constitution.
Yep. It allows for that.
Read the Constitution.
Exactly.
And then here we all know the hypocrites that Democrats are. Yeah, but the fact is, it's why we explained the war power, the whole War Powers Act, and said, really, it's political legislation. It has no constitutional legal authority at all because Congress, and once we explained it, I got people writing me going, I never knew that. I just thought the War Powers Act, if Congress wanted to limit the president, they could. No, they can't. Only a constitutional amendment can. And that's the separation of powers that a significant portion, maybe the majority of Americans, don't even understand.
You know, that's
frustrating.
We could sit here all night and go, the Democrats are liars. The Democrats are wrong. Well, and if we never backed it up and said where they're wrong and why they're lying, remember going back to when Obama was promoting Obamacare. And at that time, you know, we said, look, we don't say this lightly. He's lying.
Yeah.
He's lying about this. It's a lie.
And it was a lie of the year, remember?
Yeah. It turned out to be, was it Glenn Kessler over at Washington Post? Was it the Pinocchio of the year?
Or somebody
Newsweek
had,
or somebody.
Somebody had the lie of the year on the headline.
So it's, you know, we said, no, this is why he's lying. Because he knows that your doctor doesn't have to accept the new health care. And if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you like your health care plan, you can keep your health care plan. Well, no. By definition, that's going to change. You can't promise that to people. You're lying, and we know that you know you're lying.
Yeah.
And you're saying something while knowing something else is true, and that's a lie, and we break it down like that. Democrats won't ever break down their own convictions.
Nope.
They won't stand for their own convictions. We've said, for the rank and file on the left, if you're hardcore left and you'll never vote Republican, the two of you that listen to our show, we'll say this. Why don't you hold their feet to the fire? Why aren't they out there? Because they'll hide behind something else. All the time they hide behind something else, and they don't actually come out and own it and really fight for you. They make excuses all the time.
Every Democrat that was around for Libya and says that what the president's doing is illegal, they know they're lying.
Yes.
Every one of them knows they're lying. By the way, we also got Obama when he said, remember, you didn't build that. The government.
Yeah.
And we said, no.
We broke that down quick.
Exactly.
Yep.
I told you why that was BS.
Mm-hmm.
We feel it's imperative that we do that. Democrats don't care because they believe the people that vote for them are emotional nightmare idiots that have no clue, don't want a clue. They just run on emotion. That's what Democrat politicians believe about their own party.
That's what they think.
We are Red Eye Radio.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
A change in the weather this week across much of the country.
What we see on the weather maps at this time is what we call a flat or a zonal weather pattern. What that really means is just the jet stream is moving effectively almost due west to due east across the country.
USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey says that means
it is going to resemble spring across much of the continental United States.
While a stretch from the southern plains to the Ohio Valley experiences stormy, perhaps severe, weather.
Now, even though we could see some rainfall totals over the next week, anywhere from 2 to 8 inches, stretching from the southeastern plains into the Ohio Valley, initially we don't expect to see any widespread or significant flooding.
Due to dryness going as far back as late autumn in some areas. Rippey says instead, the precipitation will be beneficial for growers, needing boosts to soil moisture and surface water supplies. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up on the bottom of the hour. All right, how's the conflict going? Couple of things here that we're going to bring to you, and that is what is the United States, Israel looking into right now? What are they attacking now? And also, how many missiles? There's actually an analysis done. How many missiles does Iran have left?
Catch Red Eye Radio live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And we are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. I want to play some audio here. This is Mark Wayne Mullen, Senator Mullen, speaking the other day and going after Democrats. Here we go, about Iran. All right.
Thank you, Chairman. I just feel like I need to respond to some things that the senator was bringing up by accusing the president of pulling out of a nuclear deal in his first term. It was a horrible deal. It was a disastrous deal. It was a deal that we all know that would originally allow Iran to be able to have enrichment to the grade that they could make a nuclear weapon. And then for the senator that was saying that the president needs to come back for reauthorization, I don't remember him saying anything in 2016 when Barack Obama at the time dropped 26,000 bombs in Syria, Pakistan, Libya, just to name a few. And I definitely don't remember my colleagues in 2013 at all complaining about the president then Barack Obama, going into Syria. And I would like to ask the question then, what threat did Syria have to the United States? What threat did Libya have to the United States during the Arab Spring to which these leaders were removed? And then I would ask the question, what threat did Iran have to us? Do we really need to talk about it? Do we need to talk about how many times they've killed thousands of Americans since 1979? From the first time they took hostages in November of 1979 to the last time they attacked us in June of 2025? And anybody wants to doubt that they were a threat, an essential threat to us? Does anybody doubt on that side of the aisle, does anybody doubt that Iran, if or when they got a nuclear weapon, would deliver it to the United States if they have the capability of doing it? Does anybody deny that the fact that the president was being proactive on an adversary that has been chanting death to America since 1979? Does anybody deny that Iran was a threat to us and our service members? Or do we have to remind you how many they've injured and killed through their proxies and through direct action? This is the first president in 7 presidencies that actually did something about the thorn that constantly came after us. And now you criticizing and you say it's illegal? It's not. This same authorization is the same authorization that Democrats and Republican presidents in the past have used. And thank God we had a president with a backbone to finally get rid of this murderous regime. And now we're complaining about it? Remember, legally, he has to respond to Congress or inform Congress in 48 hours. That has happened. And then with...
Okay, now we'll get to that more in just a moment here, but you've got breaking news?
It's projected by most news groups and also at Real Clear Politics that Talarico wins over Crockett in the Texas Democratic primary for Senate. So there you have it. Right now at Real Clear Politics, the count is 86% of the votes in, and Talarico holds 53.2% of the votes. Crockett with 45.5. It's about 150. That number just changed. But it's about 150 something thousand, 156, 155, 56,000 votes that separate the two.
Yeah, that's what I have. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
So there you have it. So it's set now. On the left, for the Democrats, the question is now which one for the GOP in late May 26th, There will be a runoff between Cornyn and Paxton. This is a primary runoff to see who will take on Talarico in the Senate race in November. So there you have it. Talarico winning over Crockett in Texas. Jasmine
Crockett's show on MS Now starts in 3 weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
It does.
I made that up.
A daily show. Yeah. She'll probably be out there somewhere. I mean, when, she still has her fulfillment, assuming she stays, I guess she will, until January in the House. And then, and so you have to live with that, Gary. But also, she's not.
Three blocks.
Exactly.
Three blocks, and I'm in a red district. 3 blocks.
I know. And I'm in Beth Van Dyne's district, and it's just my district is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, like a lot of major metro areas, land-wise, in terms of the geographical size of the land. But again, Talarico winning the Texas Democratic primary for Senate over Jasmine Crocket, with 53% to her 45.5%. That's with 86% of the precincts reporting. And so that part is done. We'll see where it goes with Cornyn and Paxton in May. Cornyn, I'm guessing, still has and will have, not just in his coffers, but also with Pax, a ton of money to spend. It will be, I'm sure, a barrage of ads. Paxton also has some money, but nowhere near what Cornyn had, which should tell you something based on, the performance. What are we talking about right now? Again, about a 1.1% percentage point difference between Cornyn and Paxton. Right. That's with 90% of the votes in, and we'll see what it ends up.
About a 12,000, little over 12,000 vote lead right now for Cornyn. I think the interesting thing is where does the Wesley Hunt vote go?
Right. So
why did people vote in the state of Texas for Wesley Hunt? Did they view Cornyn as here's my guess. They viewed Cornyn as too liberal.
Yeah.
And they viewed Paxton as
probably too controversial.
That's what I was going to say. So they view Cornyn as too liberal, Paxton as too controversial. So does the majority of Hunt vote, that makes the difference. That's 13.3% over 250,000 votes. If those people vote, where are they going to go, Cornyn or Paxton?
Right. And that's which is a very good question, because you look at it, and if you split it, then you're talking about roughly 7.5 points to each of those two, and that would get Cornyn almost to 50. But again, we can't necessarily split it. It's likely not going to work that way. I don't know. I can't tell you. And in terms of the controversial, when we say Paxton, likely the personal controversies, not on his positions on the issues. I don't think with conservatives. But
let me ask this: and again, I don't know how much this would affect the actual vote. It's simply a question. Boy, everything seems to go to pot this week.
Well, yeah.
The Second Amendment.
Yeah.
But I wonder how much him wanting such a strict line of all marijuana products being illegal in Texas, whether, that moves 150,000 people. How much does the constructionist conservative who viewed Paxton leading the charge for the states to overturn the 2020, Yeah, the 2020 election.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Sorry. 2020 election.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the question, how much of an effect does that have?
That's a good question.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of the things that were viewed as controversial, even inside the Republican Party on it.
And because on the first point you made on the hemp THC thing, there was a line between the lieutenant governor and the governor. And the governor just kind of chose to basically go, all right, look, here's what we'll do. In the end, Governor Abbott basically said, we're going to have stricter enforcement on age verification, right? And a couple of other things that are going to be very strict, but they weren't going to ban the entire sale of the hemp THC. But a hardliner, again, like the lieutenant governor, that was a very hard line on that. How much of that moves the needle in a Senate vote? Because you're representing Texas, certainly, and you want to represent the values of Texas, but you're going to be in the United States Senate if you win, and the question would be, okay, then what from there? And how much of that is, again, a needle mover on an issue? Because you have to look at the libertarian portion of the conservative base of Texas. And a lot of us libertarians are okay with the legalization, again, based on strict rules. And that's the only legalization we have right now, is that hemp THC. But by the way, it's still weird to me to go on DoorDash, and those products you can have delivered to your home. I mean, I think you have to show an ID at the door. You can have beer and wine delivered too, but.
Well, you mean I can party and never get off my couch?
I know, right?
Do they bring it? Yeah, hey.
Bring it to the couch.
Hey, if it's weed, you've always said.
You've got to bring it to the couch.
They need to open the door and come on in, and if they're going to go that far. Well, weed, I don't feel like going to the door. Could you? I'm going to leave the door open. Come on in and give it to me.
You know what's odd?
Could you light it for me?
You know, it's odd. It's actually a fairly good a good program, I think. Walmart Plus has a Walmart Plus in-home, where the delivery person brings it in and put your stuff in your pan. They don't deliver. I don't know that they deliver beer and wine. I'm not sure. They don't sell hemp products, but they do come into your home and put it up for you. And I thought at first, oh, that's kind of odd. And then I thought of my parents. My dad, who's been suffering from, he's been battling a blood cancer since November of 22. And he's a fighter. He'll be 93 in May. But it would be helpful to someone like that, I think, as somebody who has a disability or is elderly and could use that kind of help. And Walmart actually has that program. After making jokes about how the pizza guy needs to bring it all the way to the couch, they actually have that program where they'll come in and help you put it up. I don't know on that hemp issue, again, how much. I'm with you. It's a question. I don't know how much moves that needle, if that's anything. I don't know how much of the personal controversies and allegations with Ken Paxton about using his power as Attorney General to cover up and work in his favor in terms of affairs or anything like that. I don't have any facts in front of me. I don't know. I can't tell you. I can tell you what Cornyn was throwing at him and what was being thrown at him before he even got into the Senate race when it comes to Paxton. On the issues, I think you make a very solid point. That is a good question. In a state like Texas, we don't have legalization outside of hemp THC. And that was a big deal in our state because it was like, okay, you've got like over 8,000 businesses that have been established, small businesses. Are you going to go in and completely shut them down, and if it were up to Dan Patrick, the lieutenant governor, the answer would have been yes. But the governor ultimately chose no, and that wasn't an overnight decision that he made. And so there was some, he was grappling and evolving. But he had to make a decision based on what the public thought about that and what's acceptable, And so we'll see, I guess, where that goes in May and how much of that plays into May. Because now it's down to those two.
Yep.
Wesley Hunt, that's a very good showing, 13.3% as it stands right now. But he'll remain for now in Texas 38, a new district.
It does show you, though, how far some of the polls were off, because remember, Hunt was very close earlier on.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever was.
Right. Well, you had Talarico leading Jasmine Crocket just slightly. And, where it stands right now, again, 88% in, he's got 53.2%.
But the last poll had him up by 13, though.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see that. I was looking at it. I was looking at another one just a few minutes ago. Okay. Yeah.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
If polls
it's a wide range.
If polls are up by 13 points, someone's not accurate.
Yeah.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So what do you think? Jasmine Crocket now thinking that she may have a shot at the presidency. By the way, the breaking news was that Talarico has won in the state of Texas. Jasmine Crockett's political career will at least temporarily end next January.
Right.
So the question is, will she sit there and say, something, maybe I'll throw my hat in. We need 27 people on that Democratic stage for the beginning debates.
Right.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.